Hello, I'm Gena. I study architecture at the Technical University in Vienna, and today I am showing you my portfolio. I post on YouTube, Instagram, and I have noticed I have never really shown you my portfolio. I have always thought that I didn't want to brag or show you like this is how it's done, because I hate that mindset. I believe you should design your portfolio depending on what you want to achieve, on people you want to convince of your ideas, because we are subjective beings. So I did this portfolio because I wanted to apply for an internship for a landscape architecture office, which was also very beneficial because then I had like a certain amount of time to do the portfolio and kind of a goal, you know, because otherwise I would have put in so much information, and this way I had like a criteria. So yeah, I would say let's get started. The name of my portfolio is Bridging Worlds. Maybe a little bit about me here. I have different professional passions, like I work for the Green Finance Society, which is like a finance club. Then I work for my university helping foreign students. So I always try to connect things and ideas that seem non-related. And also people. What is a portfolio? Structured collection of work, projects, everything you bring to the table, because in design, compared, for example, to finance, we are valued with different parameters, so that's why we need a portfolio. I think making this clear is pretty important, because maybe in the design bubble it's pretty obvious that you need a portfolio, but not for everyone. Let's keep going. About Bridging Worlds, I know that is my theme. I know the word that describes me is connection. So that's how I started. I started with the first image, then right away to what describes me, which is connection. Then I did a little text, which is like the statement I bring to the table. I have learned that many people will be like, no, we don't like your ideas, but at least you were honest about what you want or why you design. So that's why a little text, an image of my face, so they directly relate me to the portfolio. And then I came up with the idea of talking about 4 different worlds, which I connected. So the first one is the sea, then ecosystems. Number 3 is power. Number 4 is the future. And that's how I organized this portfolio. It has 18 pages. The first one, I talked about the sea. This one is my bachelor thesis. I knew this office was doing some coastal projects, so I thought it would be nice to put this as a first project. You kind of have to find balance on what they're looking for and who you actually are. It was about rewilding Palmas Bay, my hometown. I wrote 40 pages about this, and I thought it would be really interesting because it has a whole different kind of design process. I tried to put 4 different projects that differ very much between them, so I could show that I have a flexible way of thinking. I always highlighted the important parts, making them bigger. You can highlight them in any other way, because I wouldn't play so much. I would keep things minimal. That's my style. I actually, through ChatGPT, got the layout for this, and then I kind of adapted it to my own liking. And my philosophy is always starting left on the top, which is the first thing you see when you look at a page, and then the lower and the more to the right you go, the less important things are. Try to keep it into 4 pages. For example, number 1, bridging people in the sea, and then I have 1.1, environmental scan, so I explained how I analyzed the whole coast. Then the psychological scan, and then we move to match solutions. On the right corner on the top, I did put the waves, which is the sign for the first project. I tried to make like a little brand out of it, you know? My friend gave me a good tip about doing portfolio, whereas you try to keep things very visual, not too much text, because you want people to be able to go through things pretty fast. Like offices, what they do is they receive the portfolios and they firstly select the ones that visually attract them, or if they're looking for something specific, then they make a selection based on that, and then they really looked into things. So you have to try to keep the balance between these visual easy things and then things that actually you could talk about a bit longer. So that's why I, for example, did this graphic. You can see like discover, define, develop, deliver. It goes a little bit more in depth into the system I developed. And if I were to be asked something about this project, it would probably be that, because it's something that it's kind of understandable because it has a description, but it has depth. Yeah, that's the balance you have to try to keep. Balance between being superficial and fast to understand, but also have some kind of depth. So the second project is about bridging people and ecosystems. I tried to introduce something where I showed how I actually do landscape, because it was landscape architecture office that I was applying to. And I introduced some of the ideas I had learned through my bachelor thesis, because that was my most actual project. So, I mean, if you finish a project, it is never finished. At the end of the day, we keep things in the back of our minds. And that's totally fair to be introduced, because it also makes it all seem smooth when it's on the same intellectual level. So you can mix and match, feel free to do that. They only see the final result. Here I went into depth on specific qualities of the project. Then we have the third one. It was about bridging people and power. It was about designing a competition brief for the former Opel work in Vienna. Just try to put the title and then a brief description. Honestly, ChatGPT was the best help. Use the tools you can use. You should be able to define your project in a sentence. Because, as I've already said, they usually go through the projects pretty fast. And they want to know, okay, so she did a project about the coast, she did a project about introducing wildness into a city, she did a project about a brief for a competition. In this project, you can see it's a bit more conceptual. There was so much content. I really had to reduce, but reduce in a way that the concept is still there. Here we have the jury. And then I did introduce some of my newest thoughts, as I've already said, mix and match. And I have given my take on the side on what I think would happen, because it was a group work and I really wanted to give my personal take, because you have to make compromises when you're in a group. So, and I also think it's very important to say that you did it in a group. So when you formulate sentences, be like our project. If you did a project alone, you can be I and me and my project, because if you're not the only one working on a project, like, the other person also deserves some kind of mentioning. I am just noticing I didn't mention the people I worked with. Yeah, I might introduce that. Anyways, number 4, bridging people in the future. This one was a housing project, so I didn't go into depth, but I tried to show it from a perspective that we try to introduce landscape, which is one of the things we did. So here you can see everything, trying to keep it pretty short. This was the hardest to keep short because we had a lot of graphics. Then we got the last slide. Who am I? I summed up my life and put a picture of me. And yeah, I just wrapped it with my CV. And that is all. I hope you like it or not. I don't know. Tell me in the comments. I mean, at the end of the day, do what you want with this information. I'm not telling you you should do your portfolio this way. Just get your portfolio done. Then we can talk. Remember that the most important thing is putting intention into things. That you're not less because they don't answer you. Offices usually don't invest in PR, like public relations. So they don't answer emails when they're not like really essential, because they don't have the availability to. It's not about you. So yeah, and you will get places. If you keep on working, you will get places. And yeah, that is all I have to say. I hope I don't forget anything, and if I do, I may write it in the comments. So, see you! Bye!